Teezo Touchdown just released his new debut album, How Do You Sleep at Night? And I think it's pretty good. I've seen a lot of people saying this is the worst album of the year. Teezo Touchdown really took the I met Kanye, I'm never going to fail, or I met Travis Scott, I'm never going to fail, and then release his big day. And he's just pulling off a Chance the Rapper. And I've seen people on Twitter, he really is the most controversial person in the last couple weeks in music because everyone, I feel like a lot of people really gassed up Modern Jam. And then Teezo started to post all of his snippets onto Twitter and stuff like that. And everyone is either gassing it up or just hating on it and saying this is the most generic stuff or, whatever. And I feel like people are like either really hating on it or really loving it. I see people saying, wow, this is genuinely one of the worst albums ever made on Rate Your Music. Why is everyone trashing the album? He's a corny poser energy to him, and the snippet videos suck. The snippet for track 10 was horrible. People is just saying that it's like Hobo Johnson, and it's just a bunch of funny comments from both sides. And I feel like this album really isn't that bad. While there is a lot of very, very corny stuff on here, and I feel like Teezo's lyrics kind of suck altogether, there are a lot of really interesting musical interpolations and musical things he does on this album. And while there are songs that actually suck, like the last song, the original was better, this is a terrible ending, I feel like there's a lot of good stuff on here. Impossible and Neighborhood are both really good songs. I feel like even the songs that aren't that great and are kind of these corny cornball songs aren't that bad. So I think this album is just one of the weirdest ones that's dropped this year. Definitely one of the most controversial ones because people say, yeah, it sucks, or they're like, oh my God, Teezo Touchdown's the new guy that everyone needs to like. And while Teezo's really been being promoted by the industry, he's had features on Travis Scott, he's featured on Paris, Texas, he's featured on Tyler's album, and those really are his biggest songs. I feel like he does have some other good songs, especially I'm Just a Fan, really big fan of that song by Teezo Touchdown, pun intended, and he was on Don Toliver's album, and I feel like the songs he has released have been pretty solid in my opinion. And I don't know, I feel like this hate is really overhyped. I understand that he's kind of getting pushed out everywhere, kind of like Bobby Altoff was in the past couple of weeks, where it's he's just everywhere, and it's you're always going to see people super hyping up Teezo Touchdown, and his music just really isn't for everyone. It's not really for the people that are really pushing it. They're pushing it, and they're from this rap community. They're pushing it to their fans, and their fans don't really like it because it's not like that rap, and it's more like cornball, Imagine Dragons type stuff. I mean, that's at least what they think it is, but I feel like it's a lot more similar to stuff like Gene Dawson and Kenny Mason, and a lot of that more, I don't know what you call it, rap rock type style, especially what Kenny Mason's doing. And I guess I don't know. There's a lot of other artists in that genre, at least what Teezo it seems like is trying to go for. And I think he's doing, the right thing, and I feel like he's definitely more in that vein. Again, I think this album is really just trying to do too much at the same time, where you have 50 different styles throughout this entire album, and there are conscious decisions to bleep out explicit words, and it's I don't know. I don't think this album's anything amazing, but I think it's really getting overblown hate and overblown hype. It probably will get overblown hype, and I think it's really just a lot more similar to some I don't know, Gene Dawson music, or a lot of those artists in that same realm, which I listen to a lot of these artists like Paris, Texas, Gene Dawson, and those type of artists. And I feel like this is more going down that realm and is more going into that rap rock style, which, is cool, but he tries to take these things and mix them all together into one album. And there's a little bit too many weird things going on in the album to really, go into a mainstream audience, and I feel like that's why a lot of people are hating on it. But I think it's just really similar to a lot of these other artists that have released great albums, and because it's getting picked up by the wrong people, these rap artists are oh my God, or these rap people that listen to rap, and they're oh my God, this sucks, I only listen to rap. And they're not listening to the other good artists in the genre, again, Gene Dawson, even KC is pretty solid, and I mean, he's more rap style. Paris, Texas, Kenny Mason, all great artists. And I think they're just really getting wrapped up too much in, all these rap people are promoting it, and I don't know. I just think it's a really weird sentiment that all these people are totally hating on Teezo Touchdown because it's not the music they like. It's just, music other people like. And I feel like the majority of people actually would say the album is okay, but again, there is just a lot of like doing too much on this album, and I think that's what really kills it. I mean, Teezo is a 30-year-old guy, but he's really breaking the boundaries on this album. Like, everything on here is trying to do something new or trying to like take a part of a different genre that he thinks is interesting. And I feel like that's why it's not that great. I mean, he tries to do too much with one album, and there's not really that much like cohesiveness going on. And while I think there are some really high highs, I think it does get, again, cringe at some points. Like, it feels weird to say it, but like it's cringe at some points, and then it like goes back to being regular and normal. And I feel like that's kind of the whole thing with Teezo Touchdown. He is a little bit like cringe on his own. Like I said, he is a 30-year-old dude making music that's like really young and vibrant, and like, you know, I want to say W for him for being 30 and, you know, still doing this type of music. But it just doesn't seem like, it seems like he's kind of pandering making the music. He's like, okay, I like this sound, let me put it on my album, instead of trying to create one kind of more cohesive sound for the entire album. And I get it. It's just like, it's a little weird to be experimenting this much at 30 years old, but I guess this is his big debut album. And especially when he gets all this industry push from people like Travis Scott, Tyler, the Creator, Drake, even promoting his album. Like, all these people are really pushing this Teezo Touchdown stuff. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't like it, because when he's going on these experimental paths and maybe isn't doing it all that well, like, he's definitely doing some things well, but I'm saying not every single, you know, Drake person is going to be listening to Teezo Touchdown and be like, oh, this is a good, you know, rap rock song, or, you know, hyperpop for the last one. I guess it was kind of what it's like. He's just doing too much on some points. And I feel like that's why a lot of people don't like him. That's why a lot of people are not going to like this album, but it is one of the most controversial albums of the year. And I really think it's right in the middle. It's not the best album of the year, and it's definitely not the worst album of the year. It's right in the middle. It's pretty good average. So I'd say like it's definitely above average. But again, just because there's so much going on, and Teezo, Aaron Thomas is just doing a little bit too much for me, I can't put it any higher than a 6 out of 10. I think it is definitely a solid album, but just the fact that there's just too many different influences and sounds in one album, and it seems like he's just kind of testing out each of these different sounds to put in an album. I feel like this could have worked a lot better as an EP and just cutting up some of these songs instead of putting them all in the same thing. But I will say, great marketing campaign from Teezo, because he's definitely getting a ton of people that wouldn't have listened to his music otherwise listening to his music, and even if they hate it, you're still making money from them, so W for you. But I think this is a 6 out of 10 album. Very solid, but it's really nothing special in my opinion.